Hey guys, I know that last week some of you were confused on the math we were doing with the tables. So we're going to take today and we're going to review and discuss it a little bit more. Our goal for the rest of this year, until we're done with online schooling this year, is to focus on graphing functions, okay? So first, let's figure out what a function is, okay? Let's look at function. Basically in math, a function is like a machine, okay? So here we have a machine. And just like any other machine, you put something into a machine and it goes through the machine and then it comes out as something different. So for example, if we had a button machine, you would put plastic in, the machine would do what it's supposed to, and out would come a button. Well, in math, a function is a machine. So let's say we have the function y equals 2x, okay? And this is our function. So our machine is going to be 2x. That's the rule. It's telling us what to do. So for example, if we put in, here's our in, if we put in a 2, okay? If a 2 goes in, it goes into the function. What's 2 times 2? Well, out comes a 4. Okay, so now we have the point 2, 4. Okay, let's say that we put in a 0. If we put in a 0, it goes through the machine. What's 2 times 0? Well, 2 times 0 is 0. So now we have a point 0, 0. And let's see. Let's put in to the machine, let's put in a negative 1. If we put in a negative 1 into the machine, it goes through the machine, follows the rule of 2x. So 2 times negative 1, it comes out, it's going to be a negative 2. So now we have a point negative 1, negative 2. Okay, so that's what the function does. It's a rule. And if you put one value in, you get another value that comes out, and those two are paired together. Okay, that's how we come up with points in order to graph our function. Okay, so if you think of a function like a machine where you can put one value in and another comes out, that's basically what we're doing. Now, we are focusing on linear functions, okay? A linear function is a function that when you put it in the machine and get your points, it's going to form a straight line. So for example, this is a linear function. And you can see the word line right in that word. So we're going to focus on linear functions, where when we graph, for the most part, they're going to turn out to be straight lines. You also have other types of functions. When you get to Algebra 2 next year, you're going to work on these types of functions that create a curve. Okay, these are called quadratic functions. Okay, and maybe if you go into Algebra 2, you're going to focus on something called cubic functions. There's lots of different types of functions, but for right now, in 8th grade, we focus just on linear functions, okay? So let's do a couple examples because, like I said, I know some of you are confused. Okay, so let's take a look at this function right here, okay? Let's pick a different color here. Okay, here's our function right here, okay? That's our machine, 2x minus 1. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this negative 1 and we're going to put it into the machine, and it's going to go right in there for x. Okay, so we have 2 times negative 1 minus 1. Okay, well, negative 2 times negative 1, or I'm sorry, 2 times negative 1 is a negative 2. So we have negative 2 minus 1, that gives us negative 3. So your point is going to be -1, -3. Now, if you want to use your calculators, that's fine. If you don't have a calculator, you can use your phone calculator. All right, now we're going to jump in. We're going to put something else in the machine. We're going to put a 0. So we're going to put 0 right in there for x. So now we have 2 times 0 minus 1. 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 1 is a -1. So now our point is 0, -1. Okay. All right. Now we're going to put a 1 into the machine. So we're going to put that 1 right in there for x. So we have 2 times 1 minus 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. So now we have the point 1, 1. And then our last one, we're going to put a 2 into the machine. So we're going to put a 2 right in there for x. 2 times 2 minus 1. So that's 4 minus 1, and that's 3. So our point is 2 and 3. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to graph these points. Okay. So let's go -1, -3. So we're going to go over to the left, -1, down to -3. So here's our first point. Okay. Let's go 0, -1. So at 0 we stay, but we go down to -1. So there's that point. 1 and 1. So we're going to go over 1, up 1. Oops. Okay. Get rid of that point. Then our last point, 2 and 3. So we're going to go to the right 2, up 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so those are our points, and you can see that if we've done it correctly, because this is a linear function, all those points should lie on a straight line. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to draw our line. Okay. Now, this one was easy because they told us what our x's were going to be. And it doesn't matter what your x could be. You can pick any value for x that you want to. Okay, so for example, if I would pick, let's say I pick 50. Okay, so I'm going to put 50 into the machine. Okay, 2 times 50 is 100. 100 minus 1 is 99. So my point is going to be 50 and 99. Okay, but the problem is I don't have enough squares on my graph here to graph 50 and 99. Plus, I don't want to count all the way up to 50 and over to 59. But if we had a graph that was big enough, it would this point 50, 99 would still lie on this line. It might be clear up here, who knows, but it would still be part of that line. We just don't graph points that big because it's just that isn't helpful to us when we have to graph that big of a point. Okay, so your x's, it doesn't matter what you choose. However, it is easier for us if we choose values that are smaller so that we can graph them on our graph. Okay, now our goal, like I said, for the rest of the year is we want to take these functions, these linear functions, and we want to graph them. Okay, this machine right here is one way of graphing it. This machine helps us graph them. Starting this week, we're going to learn a different way to graph because this is a lot of work right here. Okay, you don't have to do it this way, but I wanted to show you how to do it so that you can see that there is more than one way to graph a line. Okay, so starting this week, we're going to learn a different way to graph that would still give us the same line. Okay, all right, let's try one more example here. Okay, all right, so here's our function, x plus 4. Okay, you can see it right here. So I'm going to take this -2 and I'm going to plug it in for the x in the machine. So I've got -2 plus 4. That gives me a 2. So my point is -2 and 2. Okay, -2 and 2 would be over to the left 2, up 2. There's my first point. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to plug a -1 into that function. So now I have -1 plus 4. That gives me a 3. So now I have -1 and 3. So that point would be over 1, up 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right, what's next is 0. So I'm going to plug a 0 into our function, into our machine. So now I have 0 plus 4, and that gives me 4. So 0, 4 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, right here. Okay, now I'm going to plug in to the machine a 1. So that goes in there for the x. So 1 plus 4 is 5. So my point is 1, 5. Oops, I didn't put my point there. 1 and 5 over 1, up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see that those 4 points follow in a line. I'm just going to extend my line through that. Okay. And again, you can pick any points here. Let's say that I pick a 1, 2, 3, 4, -4. Okay, let me switch colors so I can show you here. Okay, -4. So now I'm going to plug -4. So I've got -4 plus 4. That gives me a 0. So my point is 4, 0. -4, 0. So -4 would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Look, that point does fall on the line. So as long as you pick and you do the math correctly, any x value you pick is going to be somewhere on that line. Okay? And again, our goal is to take this function and graph it. And right now, this is how we do that. Later this week, we're going to learn a different way to do it. But for right now, this is a good review of some of the algebra we've done this year. Okay, now, what happens if they don't give us a chart? What do we do now? Okay, we're missing that middle piece. Okay, they want us to go right from the function, the function here, right to graphing. Well, if they don't give you a table, guess what? You can make your own. Okay, you have your x, you have your function, you have your out, what comes out of the machine, and then you can put your point. All you have to do is make one like you did up here. See? Very simple. Now, you get to choose your x values. Okay? So, I am going to choose small numbers again so that we can make sure our points are on this graph. Okay? So, I'm going to pick, let's see. A lot of times we just go, we use small numbers. So I'm going to go 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay? All right, so let's start with 0. I'm going to put 0 into that function, so I've got 0 minus 6. Well, that gives me a -6. So my point is 0, -6. Now, that might be too big to graph on this chart, that -6. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, our point is actually down here. That's okay, we'll plot it anyways. Okay, now let's plug 1 into that function. 1 minus 6 is a -5. So we have 1, -5. So 1 and -5 would be over 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right here. Okay, now let's plug 2 in. 2 minus 6 negative 4. So our point is 2, negative 4. So over 2, down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, right here. Okay, let's plug in our 3. So 3 minus 6 is a negative 3. So we have 3, negative 3. Over 3, 1, 2, 3, down 3, and there's our point. Okay? So a lot of times if your x's go in order, some sort of order, you're going to see that your y's do as well. Okay, you can see the pattern. Negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, negative 3. Okay, we're going to go ahead and draw our line. And there we go. Okay. So I hope this helps. Okay. So this is one way of graphing linear functions. Again, linear means it forms a line. And now you should feel like her. You should feel like really smart now. Okay? All right, good job. And we will focus later in the week on graphing linear functions again, but through a different method.